welcome. Here we are for week 1, which got on this Thursday evening got canceled last week, so we're going to compress them a little bit to try to get 1.5 weeks in tonight. I appreciate you all being here, and thanks to the library for putting this on YouTube. So if you're watching this out there, good. Like I said, I'm really pleased that I've got about almost 30 people signed up between Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday classes. And some people ask me, well, if I can't come Thursday, can I come Friday? Yes, that's okay. So just let me know if something happens. Or if you can't come, you can always watch it on the YouTube, so there's no excuses. I'm Michael, and this is Mindfulness Meditation. I'd like to use this bell to kind of signal the start and end of a meditation period. It just kind of says that we're in a special time and place. It's just a signal. And I want to congratulate you all on making this commitment, because in order for this to really help, we need to make a commitment. We keep saying, set an intention. I like that word. Set an intention to do this, to come for the 8 classes if you can, to do the reading each week, and to try to spend 10 minutes almost every day practicing what we do here. Then you'll really begin to notice the benefits. How many of you do some meditation now? That's fine. Some of you do yoga, which is very similar. So there's a lot of different practices that help us become mindful. And that's what this kind of meditation is about, training our minds to be mindful, which means learning to pay attention moment by moment to what's happening in the mind, in the body, and in the environment, with an attitude of kindness and curiosity. That's all it is. But we need to practice it, to work at it, because usually, I mean, we have moments where we notice what's going on, but usually we're kind of just going along with our day, doing stuff automatically, and we like, you know, sometimes we're driving someplace, we got our mind on someplace we didn't even recognize where we've been. So that's what we're kind of working on, and the benefits of this are amazing. Why do this? Well, there are 2 benefits I've seen that happen rather quickly, actually 3, when you start to do this within weeks. One is peace and calm. Most people say when they do this, they feel the calmness. And it usually lasts a little while. So if you keep doing it, it lasts longer and longer. Another one is non-reactivity. By that I mean, when something happens that triggers us, that makes us angry or irritated, we tend to have automatic reactions. You know, it's that fight or flight thing that's in the reptilian brain, they say. So we have certain habit patterns that we develop over time, and when we become mindful, we notice what's going on, and we can step back for a second and make a judgment about a better decision about how to act or what to say. So a lot of people notice that rather quickly. Another one that I really like is insight. Now this is kind of rare, I think, but you may notice it. And this happens when you're able to, in your meditation, quiet your active thinking mind enough that your intuitive mind, your wisdom that's automatically there, can come to the surface. So I don't know if are some of you on Facebook. If you do, try to look at my mindful moment that I post every Monday. This week I had one about insight, and it was about this very thing, that if you let your mind quiet, certain problems in your life, questions, or situations that you can't quite solve, if you can just let them settle, very often the answer comes to you. Or you may find that the problem really isn't a problem. It's kind of like when we talk about you got a problem, sleep on it. That's when your deeper mind can work on it. So insight is another benefit, but there's so many others. And they've been doing a lot of research on it over the past 30 years or so. Some of the things they've proven are, it does change the structure of your brain. They used to say, when I went to medical school 40 years ago, that the brain didn't change after you were like 12 or 15. It only got worse. But they've shown now that the brain changes, and we can affect how it changes by doing things like this. And they've shown that meditation improves the connection between certain parts of your brain to allow you to have better memory, to think better. It actually enlarges certain parts of the brain and shrinks other ones that don't work as well. So they've shown this. There's this thing I like called the hand model of the brain. Daniel Coleman, I think, came up with this. And he made it up for kids, but I think it's really helpful. So if you think of the brain like a hand, the wrist is the spinal cord. This is where information from the body comes up into the brain. Sensations, and also where it goes down to regulate the muscles. Then down here in the base of the brain is the brain stem. That's where all this information accumulates, and you can make instantaneous reactions in that area. Then the thumb represents the what's it called again? The limbic system. The amygdala, they mention a lot, is part of that. And this is the part where emotions locate, okay? So emotions are rather primitive, and emotions, I've just learned this, and it makes so much sense. Emotions have three main functions. Number one, they communicate stuff to ourselves. Number two, they communicate stuff to other people. You know, people can tell a lot about us without saying a word, just you can tell what we're feeling. And the third thing is they motivate action. So if you get angry, you're going to do something. So, and this is where emotions happen, and this is where they a lot of times talk about this is the reptilian brain. It's very primitive. We all have it, and sometimes if that's working, you know, it's kind of reactive, as I mentioned. Then there's the cortex, which is the outer part of the brain where we do thinking and reasoning. And the prefrontal cortex is the part where we develop control over not only our body, but over our mind and our emotions. So one thing that the research has shown is that these connections improve with meditation such that we can have better control and better lives. In practical aspects, some of the things they've shown are improved coping with stress, improved attention, improved mood, reduced inflammation, improved memory and learning, reduced depression and anxiety, increased compassion, enhanced immune system, and generally happier, healthier lives. That's why this book that we have, Real Happiness, is, I like that title. It's not just about being joyful all the time, it's about something deeper. And Sharon Salzberg, who wrote this book, has such a nice understanding of it, and it communicates it so well. So I'm so pleased to have this. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I came to be here, and then I'm going to let you tell your story a little bit if you'd like. About 6 years ago, I was at a medical conference, and I was starting to think about what am I going to do when I retire? And it just came to me, it was an insight, I don't know where it came from. I could teach meditation. I had been doing some meditation since college for like 40 some years, off and on. And about 2 years previous to that, I had the opportunity to take a meditation class, much like this, using this book that was offered by Affinity Medical Group, my group in Appleton. And I thought back to that and I said, I could do that. I could teach meditation. So I thought about, well, how am I going to do that? So I looked it up and I said, well, for number one, I have to meditate every day. So I started then, 6 years ago. 20 minutes a day was my commitment, usually more now. Also, I started doing some intentional reading of resources, and there's a lot of resources out there. I looked up people in the area who were interested in it, and I found out that there are some like retreats once in a while. So I went to some weekend retreats, and finally, before I started teaching, I went to a 1-week retreat in Massachusetts. And at these, you meditate, you have somebody talk to you, and they're done in noble silence. There's no talking during it. So that's part of it. And at one of these retreats, I met Stephen Spiro, who was one of the teachers. And you sometimes have these one-on-ones where you can go talk to them. So I went to see Stephen, and I told him about myself, and I said, Stephen, I'd like to teach meditation, but I don't think I'm ready. He said, Michael, you're ready. Well, I found out that he was recruiting me to help with the prison ministry. So since then, I've also been teaching meditation at 3 prisons in the area about every other week, which is really rewarding. The guys who come to it really appreciate it and are good meditators. So that's been part of it. And so then I started teaching these community classes. So this is the 4th year I'm doing this. This year, I did 6 weeks. This year I've added 2 additional weeks at the end that have some other stuff I've learned, good practices for learning to deal with emotional pain and physical pain. I'm still learning about that. So in this class, I will give some instruction. We'll have time for discussion. We will do what are called guided meditations. I will kind of lead you along with what's going on. I usually have a handout that kind of goes over what we did, and then I'll have an assignment for next week. So usually they're an hour or so, maybe an hour and a half for these 8 weeks. So I'm really pleased to have you all here. So, if you wouldn't mind, just tell me your name, tell us your name, and what brought you to be here tonight? Who would like to start?
I can.
Okay.
I'm Barb Weedig, and I've been thinking about it because I've seen your classes before, and I thought, I should go. And of course, you don't. But it's gotten to the point where sometimes I don't even know what's going on in my head. I'm thinking about one thing, but it doesn't take long and there's 10 other things going on in there. So I just felt maybe it was a good thing to try this, to learn how to control a little bit, you might say.
Good.
My name's Jean Coiler. Barb pushed me to come. I shouldn't say that. She just said, I think I'm going, would you like to go? But it's a really good thing. Years ago, maybe like, I don't know, 30 years ago, maybe, I did take some classes in meditation and it did really help. I guess I was depressed kind of at that at, you know, and it really made a difference. And now I feel pretty good, but my stress comes out in the middle of the night. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm sitting there thinking that I can't go back to sleep. Not all the time, but that's a big thing. That's about it.
Thank you.
I'm Pauline Geiser. Yeah, I have to, it's kind of like what Barb said. There's lots of stuff going on in my head. We all have lots of stuff going on in our lives, which, you know, doesn't help the matter and stuff. But I want to also learn to quiet my mind at night. I have the same issue, Jim. I don't know if it's our age or what, but it just seems like the last 2 weeks have just been horrendous. Dreaming, just not sleeping good. So I couldn't wait for this class to start. Hopefully in 6-7 weeks, I'll see some improvement maybe.
Thank you.
And I'm Peggy Benvenuto. I come to the library quite often, and I'm in the book club with Pauline, and I do come for the yoga on Mondays, just for concentration. And when you said about sleeping, I'm one probably for 20 years. I've been on a sleep aid. The last 2 weeks, I only had one bad night, which is remarkable for me. But I started listening to brown sound during the night. I already have a fan going, but yeah, the mind never shuts down, and I overthink things I have no control over, like taxes and stuff. I'm waiting for that one sheet of paper to come in the mail. It finally came today, but yeah, I stress over a lot of little things that shouldn't bother me.
Thanks.
My name's Renella, and I will echo everything. And I guess I would want to reduce everything, and along with that, all the stuff that we have in the news. And why should my emotions even be affected by it? I mean, why should I let my emotions be so affected by this? So I want to narrow it down. I want to be much calmer. Yeah.
My name is Karen Kornetsky, and like you said too, I can agree with everyone. Everybody's so busy, we just have all kinds of things going on in our heads, and just I need that calmness, especially in the evening, because I've always had a problem with sleeping, but more so now that I'm getting older and had a couple of knee surgeries, so just getting past them, but just want to add some calmness to the day and the evening, so.
I guess that leaves me. My name is Jeanette. I'm a very emotional person. I'm usually not a talker, so I figured meditation would be good for me. Y'all make me talk now. So besides echoing everything you just said, I have some medical issues and some anxiety and things that I hope to manage better.
Thank you. Yeah, we all have those. I have sleep problems myself lately. So those are some things we'll work on. And, you know, it's hard to say. You know, you have certain goals you want to accomplish, but one of the important things about this is not to be too focused on your goals. Let them come. The improvement will come if you let it. So you might, after a week, you say, I'm not any calmer. And that's okay, right? But the important thing is just to stay with the practice, and you will begin to notice some things. So don't try too hard either. We will share some things here that we don't tell a lot of other people, but we are on TV. So for this class on Thursdays, be aware that what we say, now they're not going to be able to hear you that well. Generally, my rule is anything you say, we shouldn't share with other people unless we give permission. Anything I say, share with everyone, okay? But we have to be aware of being on TV. So you've already shared this, but this is what these cards are about. So I'm gonna ask you each to take some time to think and then write on these cards. So begin by putting them into 3 columns. I have pens and I have a book if you need to write on, something hard to write on.
I could use a book and a pen.
Okay?
Thank you.
By the way, I have an extra book if somebody needs a book.
Can I borrow a pen?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just collected that from my wife Jan, who took the class last fall, so she doesn't need it anymore. So if anybody needs a book, I have one now. So put it into 3 columns, and then put a line across the top so you have a space for your name and also for the title of each column. So this will be confidential. After you fill it out tonight, I'll collect them and I'll look them all over and I'll kind of give you all a summary of what I found and try to make sure we try to cover what you put on here during the class. So the first one should be titled stressor or stress, just put stress. So I want you to just think a minute, and you already told me, but think again about it. What stresses do you have in your life? Try to name what's the biggest stress, and then if there's a couple more, put those down in the first column. Now, of course, there's good stresses and bad stresses, but mainly talking about things that are irritating, they're hard. Take your time. And the second column, you can title reactions. And when you get to that, take a minute to think about it and then write down, what do you do in the face of these stresses to help yourself, to build resilience, to make yourself whole? What do you do when you get stressed like this? Typically. And in the third column, you can title that feeling. And after thinking about that, think about how do these responses to stress work for you? immediately think about your habits, your habitual responses to stress, how you sought to feel whole, and what results you're getting. So I'm going to share one of mine. Loneliness, boredom, and I noticed that I was drinking a little bit more alcohol maybe than was appropriate. You know, I always thought, oh, it's normal, you know, have a 5 o'clock martini, maybe a glass of wine with dinner, and a little bourbon at 8 o'clock. It kind of feels good. And certainly that's common in Wisconsin. And I realized that it probably wasn't real healthy. And it was just kind of covering up my feelings rather than dealing with them. So that's what I'm working on. I've really, you know, I'm not drinking every day anymore. It's more for celebrations. I'll still have a little something, but so it's not been easy. I mean, it's not hard to not take a drink, but it's not easy sometimes to deal with these feelings. So. And I'm emotional, I cry, so don't worry about it.
Me too, I'll come to my prayer.
More so lately. So when you're finished with your card, you can give it to me, and I will keep these confidential, and I will give them back to you toward the end of the class. Thank you. Barb, I need your name.
Oh.
Good, thanks. So I hope that most of you got a chance to read the opening chapters that kind of talk about why we meditate and the stuff I talked about early on. That was up to page 34. I talked about what mindfulness is, and then meditation. Meditation is basically a tool to build mindfulness. It's a brain training tool, you might say. And we'll do a number of different kinds of meditation techniques that are designed to build mindfulness. That is to help us to be aware of what's going on. And our primary practice is sitting meditation, focusing on the breath. So we're going to try that right now for a little bit. And what we do is we notice what each in and out breath feels like. We're not kind of picturing it, we're just noticing the feeling. So you might notice it in your nose or your chest. A lot of people notice their belly rising and falling, and you just notice that. And you just notice rising, falling, or whatever. And I'll lead you through this. And so it's about concentration, keeping our mind on one object. And then, inevitably, our mind will wander, right? It will, very quickly. And mindfulness happens when we notice that it's wandered. Oh, I'm thinking about something for tomorrow. Wow, that's awareness. And then when we notice that, we can we can let it go and come back to the breath. And it will happen over and over. And each time is an episode of mindfulness. As we do that, we train our minds to become aware of what's going on. So a lot of it is about noticing thoughts. It's also noticing feelings, emotions. And we'll learn to name them, which is sometimes helpful. Oh, I'm feeling sad. Just telling yourself sad kind of helps clarify it. And then you can say, okay, sad. And then part of it is accepting what's going on. It's like I said, kindness and curiosity. We're not criticizing ourselves for having these thoughts or these emotions. They come. They're normal. We notice them. And then we keep coming back to the breath. The breath is traditionally used because, well, the breath is always with us. You don't need any special tools. Sometimes they say that there are techniques where you look at an image, like a candle flame. Well, then you need a candle, okay? Right now, all you need is your breath and the feeling. So that's one reason we use the breath. When we do this, we traditionally do it sitting, and posture is important. So it's wise to sit firmly and feel your feet flat on the floor if you're in a chair, or we can try cushions sometime if you like. And if you can, try to have your back kind of straight. Not leaning back, you can certainly have some support, but if you have your back kind of straight, it does a couple of things. It promotes this feeling of alertness and calmness at the same time, and it helps you to feel your breath, especially here. So that's one of the first steps, is establishing a posture. And the next chapter in the book will go into this. Then you'll want to notice just how your body feels sitting here. You want to feel your feet flat on the floor. You want to feel your butt in the chair. You want to feel your hands in their position, and notice your spine. You can have your eyes closed or open, just kind of gazing down ahead of you. So I'm going to lead us through about a 10-minute sitting meditation focusing on the breath, and then we'll have a time to talk about it, okay? So we find our posture. I like to call it a dignified posture. Just sitting here, calm, nothing to do but just sit here right now. And we notice our body, we notice the feeling of our feet on the floor. We notice our weight on the chair. We notice the position of our hands. Notice our back, kind of straight, not rigid, but just kind of dignified, as I said. Kind of intentionally take a couple of nice deep in breaths and following it with a nice long out breath, feeling the breath. Now we just let the body breathe on its own. We don't have to control it. There's no special kind of breathing. We just are noticing each breath. So notice where you feel the breath the most. Notice the feeling of each in breath and each out breath. You may want to say to yourself gently, in, out. This helps give you a little focus on the breath. Or you can say rising, falling. And it usually won't take long before your mind goes to some other thought, something about the past or the future. And you notice that, oh, I'm thinking about what I had for supper. And then you say, okay, I'm going to let that go. That's not what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm just being with each breath. And come back to the next breath. You may notice a feeling. Let's say, boy, this is boring. I don't know if I can do this for 10 minutes. And you just notice that, oh, feeling bored. That's okay. It's just a feeling. Let that go and come back to the breath. You may notice something in your body, maybe an ache, maybe your back feels kind of funny, and you just notice that, and you say, I can put up with this, it's no big deal, it's just a little ache. Let that go and come back to the breath. Those thoughts can be so interesting. I mean, they're so much fun. We get caught up in them. And it's not just one thought. Suddenly we're telling ourselves a whole story. And that's okay. You say, oh, there goes a story. And then when you notice that, you're being mindful. You let it go and come back to the breath. Sometimes sounds might capture our attention. And that's okay. Oh, we notice, oh, hearing. But and sometimes we'll do some meditations focusing on sound, but right now we're on the breath. So we say, oh, hearing, let it go. Come back to the next breath. You may notice some of your attitudes come up. Oh, I can't do this. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this. And you just say, oh, attitude, that's okay. It's just a thought. let it go, and come back to the breath. It doesn't matter what these thoughts are. What matters is that we keep coming back. That's mindfulness. Sometimes you can tell yourself, I'm just resting my mind right now. There's nothing I have to do, nothing I have to plan or worry about. All I need to do is be here and notice each breath. How wonderful. Just for this short time. Usually while I'm doing these guided meditations, I bring up things that I notice while I'm doing it. And I'm not noticing a lot right now. I'm just being with each breath, resting my mind. I like to think of it like recovering from a concussion. When you have a brain injury, a concussion, the instructions are to rest your mind and your body. So they say, limit screen time. Don't read too much. So what do? You just try to be quiet, and meditation does that. This is an opportunity for brain healing. And even if we haven't had a concussion, we all have injury to our brain. Just sitting here, noticing each breath. And maybe you notice some breaths are deeper, some are shallower. We're not trying to control it, we're just noticing it. So you might say to yourself, oh, deep breath. And we can relax and notice how we feel now after that. Was anyone falling asleep? That can happen. Any comments?
It's hard,
Yes.
very hard.
Yes.
I thought it would be harder, because I came here thinking, oh man, I don't know if this is gonna work with me, you know, but I felt really calm. I noticed my hands felt so heavy. That's what I kept having to go back to, and then pulling myself back. My hands just felt like they were just weighted down. I don't know why.
That's good. It's good once in a while to come to how your body feels, so that's very good.
The longer we went into it, I kind of like I didn't know if my legs and feet were here yet. I was like, oh, but I didn't, and then you try and pull yourself back, but I did notice how shallow, I thought, wow, I really have shallow breathing.
Okay.
But yeah, you can pull yourself right back if you.
He had a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, okay,
Oh, I was pretty busy.
okay.
It was very important.
It happens. And some, maybe the next time it won't be that way, you never know, and you just have to accept, oh, this is a busy mind time. They call it monkey brain. Just jumping around, so that happens to me too. You just notice it, oh, this is one of those days. So they say there's no good meditation or bad meditation, there's just the fact that you did it. So if you can stick there for the 10 minutes each day, that's it, no matter what happens. Now, you can try to do it on your own with my guidance, or what you've read, or a lot of people really like to have some guidance while they're doing it, somebody that's guiding them through as they do it. And there are the book itself. If you're able to download Sharon's talk, she has stuff on the breathing meditation. You can listen to her doing it. Now, they used to have a CD in there. I don't know if you have a CD, but now there's a way where you can access it. And I'm not sure, you'll have to find that. It's probably in week 1. You can find an app or something on your computer where you can listen to Sharon guiding you through it. She's really good. And there's a number of other ones. There's a lot of people like one called Insight Timer. You can put on your phone. And you can either have it just to time your meditation. So it's a good idea to set a goal. I'm going to try to sit for 10 minutes and set a timer. So that you can use that, or you can just use the clock on your phone. Next week I'll have a handout that has a whole lot of different things available for you to either listen to or read about it. So that'll come next week. How many of you feel calm? Kind of calm? Yeah, that's really calm, and that's, wonderful in itself. Well, let me go through this first handout that kind of goes through some of the stuff that I'd like you to be doing in the coming week. This is called Getting Started. A lot of these handouts come from a program I attended in Madison at UW called the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. And UW has a lot of resources. If you look that up, in fact, you can look up on what it says on the bottom, UW Health, Integrative Health Mindfulness Program. You can look that up, and you get a colored one. And that has resources on there. But just to go through this briefly, the first part is the environment. So that's about setting yourself up in this posture and trying to have a time and place every day when you set, this is my meditation time. A lot of people like to do it first thing in the morning. A lot of people like to do it in the evening. Some people change it, but for most of us, it's good to have a time and a place. So find a place where you can be undisturbed for 10 minutes. And tell people in your house, okay? Then it talks about formal and informal practice. Formal practice is what we were just doing. That is meditation. It's setting a time to sit, setting an intention to follow your focus, and just be with it. Number 6 says, allow it to be however it is. Each day will be unique to that day. So some days it may be monkey mind, some days it may be very calm, or in between. Then the next section is about informal practice. And that's about bringing mindfulness into our daily activities. So it's a good idea to just pick something that you do that doesn't involve too much thinking and say, while I'm doing this, I'm going to really pay attention to it. So brushing teeth is a good one. It maybe takes you 2 minutes to brush your teeth. And you notice, kind of pay attention of how you put the toothpaste on there, how you hold it, what you're brushing, the sound of the water, the feeling of it, the movement. And notice when your mind wanders to what you're going to be doing next, come back to it. So that's a wonderful informal practice, and you can do this with a lot of different things during your day. Just walking up the steps, and part of it is part of setting an intention. You say to yourself, okay, I'm walking up some steps, I'm going to pay attention right now. And notice what happens. Notice how your steps feel, and notice what the walls look like. And then when you notice you're thinking about what you're going to do when you get to the top of the steps, you come back. That's mindfulness, okay? So that's really helpful. And if you do that and come back to your breathing during those activities, that will help train your mindfulness as well. And it can be really good. One of the things we like to say is, when you're washing the dishes, just wash the dishes. Multitasking is such a common thing, and it's, you know, a lot of researchers say we don't really multitask. We can't think about more than one thing at once. We think we're going back and forth really fast, which is kind of hard for our brains to handle. So, I mean, we have to do it sometimes, but if you can notice and just stay with one activity for that time, instead of thinking about the next activity you're going to do, try it. I'm going to start what we would normally do in week 2 now, since we missed last week. And this is about using something different as a focus, not the breath. So we'll use a lot of different things as the focus of our meditation. And for this, I'm going to have us do the body scan. Just like feeling the weight of your hands or stuff like that. This is about, instead of focusing on each breath, it's noticing about what we feel in our body. And we do it systematically. Some teachers do it from the head down. A lot of them do it that way. Sharon does it that way. I learned it to do from the feet up, which is what I'm going to show you right now. Either way works. And so what we do is we find our posture, we take a couple of deep breaths, and then just follow me as I tell you what to focus on, okay? Called the body scan. So finding a posture where we're comfortable and we can stay here for about 10 minutes without moving. And take a couple of nice deep breaths. Now directing attention to the left foot. Notice the toes of the left foot. What do the toes feel like? And maybe describe it to yourself briefly. Cold or warm, tingly, heavy, pinched, or maybe there's no feeling and just say, oh, no feeling. The toes of the left foot. Now notice the top of the left foot. Any feeling there? And the heel. perhaps feel the weight, the contact of the heel with the floor. And the sole, notice the different parts of the bottom of your foot that contact the floor in the shoe. Kind of focus on your whole left foot. What does it feel like? Does it feel heavy, light, comfortable, or uncomfortable? Just noticing. And notice the left ankle. Any feeling there? Maybe you feel the bend in the ankle. Maybe you feel a little stiffness or achiness. You just notice that. Oh. Moving up to the left shin. Any feeling there? Any discomfort? And the left calf. Come up to the left knee. How does that feel right now? Once in a while, just come back to noticing your breath in and out. Moving up to the left thigh, front, back, and inside. Any feeling there? Perhaps you feel the contact with the chair. You don't need to get in long descriptions, but if there's a word that defines it, just say that to yourself. And the left hip. Just noticing the whole of the left leg. If there's any tension in there, kind of let it relax and drain right down into the floor. Now bring our attention to the right foot, beginning with the toes. What do the toes of the right foot feel like? Tingly? Shaky? Steady? No feeling? Some of us who have neuropathy notice there's like little shooting discomfort in there. Just notice that. And the top of the right foot. And the heel. Notice the bottom of the right foot. Kind of get a feeling for what the whole right foot feels like, and maybe compare it a little bit to what the left feels like. Are they different or the same? And the right ankle. The right shin and the calf. Right knee. The right thigh. And the right hip. Gradually coming up, notice the pelvic area, front and back. Notice the sits bones on the chair. Notice the lower belly. The whole of the belly, maybe you notice the rising and falling with the breath. Maybe other feelings, fullness or emptiness. Hardness firmness or softness? Pay attention to the lower back now. Notice its position. Any feeling there, any discomfort? Maybe there's a feeling of comfort and stability. Moving on up to the back, up the spine to the upper back. Just feel its position. Notice how the whole body is suspended on the spine, just hanging from that spine. That's holding us. Notice the muscles of the back on up to the shoulder blades. There's tension there. Notice that and let it relax. Take a breath. On an out breath, just let that tension flow out. Notice the chest and the breasts. Just notice any feelings there. Notice the rising and falling of the chest with each breath. Maybe you can feel your heart beating. Just noticing. Notice the collarbones. Not paying attention to the arms. We'll pay attention to both hands at the same time, the fingers. Notice their contact. Notice any feelings there, warmness, coolness, tingling, steadiness, discomfort, comfort. Notice the back of the hands. Notice the palms. And the wrists. Get a feeling of what each hand feels like as a whole, and maybe compare it to the other side. Any different? Notice the forearms, the elbows and upper arms. The shoulders. We tend to hold a lot of tension in our shoulders, so if you feel a little tension there on an out breath, let it go. Let the shoulders sag and just let all that tension just drain. Notice the neck in the front, back, and inside. What does that feel like? Can you feel the windpipe, air moving in and out? Any discomfort? Just notice it. Moving to the head and face, notice the chin. Can you feel the air on your chin? Maybe a little itch, just notice it. And the cheeks. The mouth and lips. Dry or moist. And the nose. Notice the nose sticking out in space, the air around it, and the air moving in and out. The eyes and the areas around the eyes. Notice the forehead. Any discomfort there, just notice it. And the temples. If there's tension there, see if you can let that release. Move around toward the back of the head, notice the ears. Once again, kind of sticking out in space there. What are they feeling? They feel the air or your hair. Notice the back of the head. Maybe you can feel the hair on your head. Moving up to the top of the head. Notice what the top of the head feels like. And take kind of a nice deep breath and blow it out right through the top of your head. And now just sit and notice the body as a whole. And maybe if there's a specific area that wants your attention, focus on that area. Just noticing. That's the body scan. Sometimes it's taught more as a relaxation exercise, and they'll talk a lot more about relaxing the muscles. Or sometimes it'll be more like I did it, primarily as just noticing. Some people, this is their go-to meditation. They like this better than the breath. That's okay. We're going to learn a number of different ones, and this is one of them that you can turn to. Any comments?
Oh, made me sleepy.
Yeah, it's a great one to help you sleep. You know, I do it, and how I can't get to the end of the body scan usually, you know, depending on how well I'm doing, but it's really a good one for helping to sleep. Right now, we're trying to stay awake though.
I feel my shoulders being really heavy,
Yeah.
so I never lost that. It's real important, it's really important.
I notice this during the day. I'm walking, I notice, oh, I'm holding my shoulders up. Let them drop. Boy, how much do we just hold in there?
I felt like my chin dropped.
Uh-huh.
I had a vision and then all of a sudden
Uh-huh.
the weight.
Good. I have a handout about the body scan. This is kind of a commentary on the body scan by John Kabat-Zinn, who is one of the great teachers of secular mindfulness meditation. So if you get a chance, read this. It will give you some insights into the body scan. John Kabat-Zinn developed this program called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction at the University of Massachusetts Medical School Hospital about 40-some years ago. He developed it as a tool where patients with stress-related disorders were referred to his program for meditation to see how it would help. And they've done research on it over the years and showed how it helps. So John Kabat-Zinn is a wonderful resource. So for next week, I'd like you to read week 1. That's up to page 76. in the book. It's entitled Concentration, I believe. And since we're behind, if you can read week 2, Mindfulness on the Body as well, okay? Which goes through the body scan and some other body-related meditations. That would be up to page 105. So if you can do all that, great. It's a good idea, if you're inclined to have a journal. If you have noticed questions, problems, insights, what's going on, you don't have to do it every day, but you can. Write down what's happening with your meditation. That can be helpful. I go through periods where I'm doing a lot of journaling, then I don't for a while. So it can be very helpful. And like I said, try to set aside 10 minutes, if more if you want, almost every day to do one of these practices. And we'll be here again next Thursday. I'll hang around for a few minutes after class if you want to talk. Is there any other questions or concerns right now?
Can I do the one, excuse me, the one on Tuesdays at Dr. Gabler's office?
Yes?
Okay, that would work best for me.
Okay.
But we'll be here Thursday.
I'm going to be here Thursday, yeah. Dr. Giebler's office is kind of crowded, so
Oh, is it?
that's all right.
All right. That's at 5:30?
6:30.
6:30, okay.
Oh, on Tuesday, okay.
6:30 on Tuesdays in Kiel at Dr. Giebler's office, 5 o'clock on Thursday here, and 10 a.m. on Fridays at Gloria Day Church. So try to stay with one, but if you need to switch one week, that's okay.
And if we miss a week, just watch it then on YouTube.
Right,
Okay,
good.
if it lands up, my husband and I are leaving on vacation.
Yeah, life happens.
Okay.
Meditate on the drive.
Yes.
We're just about finished. Perfect, Rebecca.
Coming in here just to check.
Good. We're just going to close with a short meditation, and then we'll be done. So find our meditation posture. Set an intention to be present with each in and out breath for the next couple of minutes. If a thought floats by, just say to yourself, thinking. If an emotion comes, just say to yourself, oh, feeling. If a sensation comes, just notice it, oh, feeling a touch or whatever. Come back to the breath. Thanks for your practice.
Thank you.
Thank you.